Hey guys, me Mario again. I'm going to cover a few things that just deal with a lot of the stuff that's happening right now. Honestly, not a lot has changed for me. I think that sometimes when we're put into this thought pattern where all of a sudden either there's a mandate or a law or a restriction of some kind that tells you not to do something, you start to think about, the failings of it more than, well, I never really walked outside of that paradigm before, but now it bugs me because I really can't if I wanted to, even though I hadn't prior. If anything, so what I'm going to do is just basically tell you some of the stuff that I've gone through to a large degree and some of the stuff that I've found online and in other places that have helped. And of course, I made a handy dandy little list here to go through so that way I wouldn't lose my way in this video. The first thing, I had actually signed up a while back through Udemy.com. They are often running sales on a lot of different classes they have. And that's actually where I learned how to do 3D and start getting familiar with a lot of things. I have a lot of friends that work in it, but life gets in the way and that sort of stuff. And so I needed to find some way that I could, get a repository of information and knowledge that I could go back to consistently and measure up my own performance and learning curve, against what was being presented there. And it's great to still be able to have people that that are good at a discipline or a skill set and go to them with questions. But I felt like I was beleaguering people or kind of annoying them. So I really wanted to find something that would work that way. So even before this whole COVID-19 sort of stuff happened, I was already looking for avenues that I could go and learn online. I've learned everything from 3D to recently. Well, even on Udemy, they had classes were on video editing and After Effects and things like that. This site called Pluralsightcom, I believe is what it is. And it also right now it has like 30 days where you can go in and check out the classes on there. They're freaking fantastic. The layout looks really good so far as how the lessons are broken down. And I looked into After Effects, which I've dabbled with and I've messed with to some degree, but I know that there's a larger learning curve there. And the guy that's teaching the class, actually, he's like Adobe certified. I think he actually works for Adobe, but he's certified in After Effects and he's got like 10 plus years of working in the industry specifically with that software. I had always been interested in learning American Sign Language. The reasoning behind it had been that, sure, you can do a lot of the, the subtitling sort of things on videos and stuff, but at one point, I really did think it was kind of cool if during the videos, because I don't remember who it was. I don't remember if it was my buddy Ryan or who said this. Somebody said that I have kung fu hands whenever I'm doing videos. And so I thought instead of doing kung fu hands, perhaps I could do some kind of, American Sign Language with it. And so maybe that would be something in future videos that I would be able to bring about. But I had shared it with a few people and I was hoping that maybe they'd be able to either learn themselves or teach their kids as part of a homeschooling effort, which is what a lot of kids are having to go through right now. One of the other things, too, that I've done is started to go deeper into reading into the subjects that I'd always wanted to research, whether they were for stories I'm working on or ideas and games and other things that I wanted to kind of round out and see if this was something that would be fun to look into, or maybe it's a theme that hasn't been really delved into in popular fiction or fantasy or whatever that's going on right now. And so I had wanted to look into things a little further and deeper. And I figure, while I have the time and while things are kind of slow in some respects, maybe that's something that, other people could also do, if you're into that sort of thing. I know I have a lot of friends who are authors who absolutely, that's already part of their life. Well, I never really gave myself the time to do that. So I've been setting aside a little bit of time every week, just once a week to do that, because I also don't want to front load myself with too much and then end up back with my own nemesis of idea debt. The next one too, so I wanted to touch base on this. I do think that there's a huge misfire using the term social distancing. And let me explain why, because the wording itself is very odd to me. On the point that, if you've got, I'm going to use two pens here. If you have pen A and you have pen B, normally people like to talk really close, okay? But with social distancing, the CDC started to say, a minimum of like 6 feet. And people are still kind of doing that, but really, all kinds of things fly between humans. So really it's supposed to be a lot more like 20 feet. If you're living in the US, most people aren't even really adhering to the 6-foot rule. Right now with this pandemic, we have the ability to be able to not only learn and listen to an incredible amount of information, but send that information and have it received by people on the other side. And yes, I'm talking about a phone, which just about everybody has access to or owns, which also has text messaging, FaceTime, being able to watch videos like this one at your leisure. I'm not saying that it's a great substitute for real, honest to God human interaction. Of course not. We are social animals. When you tell people to stay in place or stay put, people are going to challenge that. People are going to want to get out and do that sort of stuff. I had a question earlier to a buddy of mine about a monitor of mine that's kind of going out. And I figured, you know what? The monitor may be dead, but I can go ahead and disassemble and take a look at it. At one point in time, I had a small growing interest in electronics, and I'd wanted to learn more. So I watched a video really quickly, checked a few things to see and remind myself on some stuff. And I, opened it up. I got some screwdrivers out. I popped it open, took a look, and sure enough, there was nothing I could fix. And so I put it back together. But the weird part was that I put more screws back into it because it was missing a few. And I didn't get it to work, but I did learn something in there. Number one, I learned what the inside of this little monitor looked like and refamiliarized myself with some stuff I had remembered learning back in high school in an electronics class. At the exact same time, I also built up my own experiences. Those are they're small, but they're still things that helped me through this. It put my mind at ease. It got me through some other stuff. And that in and of itself is, I think, a pretty good thing. Some of the other things I've done too, and again, this is going to start showing sort of my nerdy, really dorky side, but a buddy of mine at work, Brian, got me into, this is so weird. First of all, I was never really much, I've always loved to organize, but I always struggled with it. And one of the things that I quickly fell in love with was this program that allows you to batch rename files. And so I have one called Bulk Utility Renamer on my computer, and I love this thing. And I know this sounds so stupid, but for all the people out there that want to organize your photos or whatever, it's kind of cool. You can also use more advanced programs like Adobe Bridge, but this is like down and dirty kind of video name editing. And the idea is basically you can take a bunch of files, drop them into a window, and then you go in and you can edit things like the prefix, the suffix, and other parameters in there, like adding a numerical count to them, rename them in certain ways, and then basically you're redefining the file names in a huge grouping. And I've been organizing my photos that way. I have a ton of reference photos and travel photos, family photos, all of this stuff that I worked out a system to basically name, okay, is it vacation? When was the date? Where was it? And what is it specifically? And I'd started organizing it that way, because one of the things I hate is, and I'm certain all of us are like that now, especially since we all have smartphones and or cameras or whatever, we tend to have tons of video and footage and photos and all of this media on our hard drives that we never really organize. I mean, how many of us, I don't, because I have a very small batch of memory on my phone, but how many people just scroll through their phones consistently to find that one photo? And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I like to store them on my computer, and I like to kind of edit and, curate what's left on my phone. So another thing was, I have bookshelves in here that I've been going through, just tons of magazines and other books that have to do with art or hobbies or history or other things. So every week I started picking one up and reading through it. If it's really long, then it's taken a little while. I've been holding off on some of the longer books just so I could feel like, okay, I'm getting through this. And I know that sounds so bad to force myself to pick up a book and read it. But the fact is that it's far easier to go and watch a video on YouTube or, just scroll through Facebook or see what's happening on, any social media site. And even one of the other things too, in fact, I was just writing a message before I decided to do this video where I was going to reach out to another guy that I knew. I've known him for years, and he's, I think the term is an arborist. See, I should really look that up right now. That's what I'm going to do after this video. I'm going to look that up to make sure that I'm actually using that term correctly. But basically, somebody who works with trees. He has, I've seen on his Facebook, where he works with bonsai trees and stuff. So I was actually going to reach out to him and go, okay, look, I got a lot of time, and there's no better time than now to get started on the art of bonsai. How does that work? How does one get going with that? And sure, there are books and everything else like that out there, but this also gives me an opportunity to touch base, reconnect with him, and see how things are going. And hopefully something good comes from that. You've got all of this other stuff you can do. And some of it may be things we don't want to deal with, But the truth is that sometimes there's no better time than now to do those things. So maybe you don't want to have that heart-to-heart talk, where a son and a dad are like, Dad, you were never really there for me to play catch growing up or something. Or maybe a daughter and her mom, the mom was like, I don't know that I ever felt that I was a good enough mother to you. Or I'm not talking about that kind of heavy-ended, like Lifetime movie sort of stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying kind of keep it light. Keep it, I don't know, Hallmark movie. No, actually, don't do that. Don't do that. But you can absolutely spend time with people, because, in reading a lot of the stories of people who have passed on from other natural causes or even from this COVID virus, there's a lot of people that couldn't say goodbye. There's a lot of people that never got that chance to say that. And I'm always reminded about my favorite Indiana Jones movie, The Last Crusade, where Sean Connery's, Henry Jones Sr., his character believes he's seen Indiana Jones go over the cliff on the gigantic World War I era tank, where Indiana Jones had managed to jump off at the last minute, and the German commander had fallen to his death down there. So he thought, he was like, and he's telling, I think, Brody, that like, oh my God, I've lost him. If I'd only had, just 5 minutes with him. And it's such a poignant moment because it was taken from him. He really felt like that was it. He'd outlived his son. And of course, if you've seen the movie, spoilers, he makes it. I often think to myself, well, it's worth it for me to call my parents. It's worth it for me to check in on my siblings and my extended family and stuff, and especially my friends. I've been trying to take my time going down the list. And if I haven't been interacting with them on a normal basis, to really reach out and go, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? And even people I don't talk to that much and that I know through, like, kind of on the angle, I don't really know that well. Well, there's no better time than the present to get to know those people. There's a Canadian Boy Scout, and I forget his name, but it's right here in this article, where he took it upon himself to go ahead and figure out how to make on his 3D printer, and he then uploaded it, okay, which is great. The link is down below if you guys want to check it out. But he was trying to help out the people in the medical field, anyone who had to wear these face masks for a long time, because the elastic that goes around the ears, but he's made this small, simple design that's great, that is on the back of the head, that allows people to be able to wear those masks far longer. He's going to make an incredible Eagle Scout someday. And that's just, it's really cool to see that sort of thing. That's the positivity I look to whenever I get really excited, because I'm like, man, this is somebody who really took up the challenge and worked toward it. It didn't matter that he was a scout or not. It was just somebody who really gave a damn and wanted to do something for the better without any kind of like illicit sort of money-making effort on the back end of it, Change is extremely hard. We all know this. And a good portion of us, myself included, will go into change kicking and screaming. You'll take out a lamp. You might accidentally kick one of your pets in the process. It's a terrible situation. It's not fun. Because of that, we end up limiting what we can do and where we're heading and where we'll end up. We shouldn't do that. Life is this journey. You've been given this moment right now on this planet to do the things you want to do. You can sit there, and I've been there, believe me. I went through therapy. I went through all kinds of things, and I'm still kind of in the middle of that. Trying to find my wherewithal, trying to figure out where I fit in the grand scheme of things and what I want out of life as far as a creative illustrator and what I'm trying to do with myself. There was a moment for a while too where I even kind of doubted like some jobs I've gotten in the past and even recently, where I'm like, but is this what I really want to do? Or is this a means to an end? Or what am I doing with my days and my life in general? And it's okay to question that, but you shouldn't question it to the point to where you end up costing yourself an opportunity and then stepping back a few feet in the process and falling backwards. Forward movement is what we're aiming for, but sometimes it also makes sense to stand still, if even for a while, and take in everything around you. Right now, as you're watching this video, I want you guys to take a moment, and any other point in time, tomorrow, later this evening, or as you're laying there going to sleep, think about what life is right now. Think about the people in your life, what they look like, who they are, where they are, and what they're doing. Are they in your household? Are they elsewhere? When was the last time you saw them? And then make it a point that the next time you do see them, that you can really truly appreciate them for who they are even more. Life goes by in the blink of an eye. I started this YouTube channel, I think 10 years ago. I've deleted a lot of videos since then. It doesn't even seem real. My website I started when I was 16 or 17, and an incarnation of it has always existed. That was decades ago. It's so hard to admit that. Nothing lasts forever is kind of what I'm getting at. No, is very much what I'm getting at. At some point in time, everything we're going through right now becomes either nostalgia or terrible memories. So hopefully none of this is terrible memories for you guys. So with that, thanks for watching, guys. I sincerely appreciate it, and I hope that all the rest of you are having at least somewhat decent times over this sort of thing. To the people at Hallmark, I can say this. I am so sorry for a lot of what's going on right now. I'm hoping that for better or for worse, that the company is able to get its feet back together and that people will be able to come back to work. Everyone that wasn't, already let go before, or however that plays out, it's been a really screwball time. And this isn't anything that you can't read in the news. So that's before somebody in HR goes off on me about this. Thanks for watching, guys. And I will catch you in the next video, where I will hopefully have some artwork ready to show you guys. That's the plan anyway. And I'm really close now as well to possibly going live, which is something I've been wanting to do. I've almost got the setup completely done here, and if I start doing that, I will be doing art live, and you guys can criticize me and patronize me that way. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a good night, and I'll see you in the next video.